The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
Sir Keir Starmer was supposed to be the poster child of moderate, stable UK politics. After the turmoil of COVID, Brexit and 5 different Conservative Prime Ministers, Starmer's Labour Party won the 2024 election by a landslide, with a promise to bring stability to the country.
Change begins now.
Yet now, just 2 years into his tenure, he's announced his resignation, opening the door for the 6th Prime Minister the UK has had in just 7 years, with nominations for a new leader opening on July 9th.
Starmer's biggest problem was his communication style. He was a very dry, wooden speaker, he spoke from scripts, and that left him extremely vulnerable in an era of populist politicians.
So what went wrong for Starmer? And who could be the next UK Prime Minister?
Starmer really promised to bring a period of normalcy back to the UK. Britain had cycled through numerous prime ministers since Brexit, and Starmer was saying that he could bring a bit of calm back to British politics, which would then allow for the country to be better governed.
This depends upon politicians, particularly those who stand for stability and moderation, as I do.
That calm ultimately lasted just a matter of weeks.
Starmer came under fire for receiving tens of thousands of dollars worth of free gifts, including clothing for his wife, soccer tickets, Taylor Swift tickets, and over $3,000 worth of glasses, much of which he ended up paying back.
The optics were immediately bad because Starmer had come in promising a new era of seriousness in British politics, but here he was having his glasses and his suits paid for by a donor, so immediately the public were put off by that.
But one of Starmer's biggest missteps came from his decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as the UK ambassador to the US, only to fire him 9 months into the job over his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein.
I should not have appointed Peter Mandelson. I take responsibility for that decision, and I apologise again to the victims of the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, who were clearly failed by my decision.
For months, Starmer had insisted that Mandelson had been vetted and cleared by UK security vetting, or UKSV. However, it then emerged that Mandelson had in fact failed the vetting process, but was approved for the job anyway.
Starmer then found himself in a situation where he had to try and explain that he had been duped by the civil service he was supposed to be competently running, and so raised questions as to whether he really was an effective leader.
If I had known before he took up his post that UKSV recommendation was that developed vetting clearance should be denied, I would not have gone ahead with the appointment.
So the succession of scandals slowly eroded this image that Starmer tried to present, that he was a competent, clean politician.
These scandals were made worse by the fact that Starmer had failed to substantially grow the UK economy, and had even raised business taxes.
Ultimately, there is a cost of living crisis in the UK, and people's bills have gone up, and real wages are flatlining, and that's where people are feeling the pinch.
Then there were policy U-turns on everything from national ID cards to inheritance tax on farmers.
Starmer said that he was a serious politician and that he was willing to make tough decisions.
Things will get worse before they get better.
One of the first things he did was say that he was going to remove a fuel subsidy for pensioners. Now, this immediately caused a huge backlash within the party and immediately eroded Starmer's popularity with the wider public.
In the end, Starmer made a long, protracted U-turn, but the damage was done.
Ultimately, that U-turn really eroded his standing with the British public and also raised questions about his leadership style.
On the global stage, Starmer initially seemed to be one of the few politicians who could actually charm President Trump.
Trump and Starmer struck up an unlikely bromance.
We all know the great Prime Minister of the UK, and we just signed a document. This is, sorry about that. This is it.
A very important document.
Despite having diametrically opposed political views, they actually got on quite well. Now, that evolved over the years as Trump increasingly criticised the UK.
I think he's a nice man, but I disagree with him on two things primarily. His immigration policy is a disaster, and his energy policy.
But even the other day, when Trump announced that Starmer was going to quit, before Starmer himself had announced this, he said he wished the Labour leader well, which I think speaks volumes for their relationship.
But one of the final nails in the coffin for Starmer's premiership was the Labour Party's disastrous results at local elections in May.
Are you worried for your party, Prime Minister?
The vote became a litmus test for Starmer's fitness to remain in office, and his party suffered badly, losing around 1,500 councillors, Labour's worst result in decades, and ceding ground to anti-immigration party Reform.
Let me be clear, these are really tough results. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
For the first time since the Second World War, we're seeing a party that's not Labour or the Conservatives leading in the poll. Reform UK, which is led by Nigel Farage, is running on an anti-immigration ticket, and that has really resonated with a lot of people in the UK.
We've been so used to thinking about politics in terms of left and right, and yet what Reform are able to do is to win in areas that have always been conservative, but equally, we're proving in a big way we can win in areas that Labour have dominated.
Starmer tried to counter that by moving to the right and announcing stricter anti-immigration policies, but that actually had the perverse effect of pushing many people on the left of the party to leave, and they have gone to the populist Green Party on the left. So Starmer found himself fighting a battle on two fronts.
Shortly after the results of the local elections came in, more than 90 of Starmer's lawmakers called on him to quit, including his Health Secretary Wes Streeting, who resigned from Cabinet.
And that is really when the game was up for Keir Starmer.
Despite setbacks, Starmer did actually make headway on some of his manifesto pledges.
Starmer did bring some normalcy back to British politics. He did make some strategic decisions which did pay off, but the pace of change simply wasn't fast enough, and his political capital eroded too quickly.
Now the UK enters yet another period of political uncertainty, with nominations for a new Labour leader, who would automatically become Prime Minister, set to open on July 9.
The current thinking is that there's only one horse in this race, that's Andy Burnham, the former Manchester mayor.
So help me God.
But there is a question of legitimacy here, whether Burnham can really take control of the world's fifth largest economy with very little scrutiny of what he intends to do or how he intends to do it.